I don't know. That's a good question, though. I love food and cooking and everything like that.
You're
So,
watching Calf Kick Sports Podcast.
Good afternoon, folks, and thanks for joining us. My name is Tim Wheaton with the Calf Kick Sports Podcast, and today we have a special guest joining us. She is a top-ranked flyweight in the UFC from St. Catharines, Ontario, Jasmine Jasudavicius. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
Oh, doing well, and I appreciate you asking. Big win at UFC 270. How's life since then?
It's been nice. I mean, it's back to normal now. Training twice a day, everything. Getting ready for the next one. Nothing booked yet, but training hard in anticipation. And if something doesn't come up soon, I could take a short notice, or we'll see.
Well, that's what I've been trying to find, and you've said the same thing in interviews, like if this person drops out, I'll step in. If this person drops out, I'll step in. Is there someone you want to call out? Is there a timeline that you want to get back in the octagon?
No. I mean, I'm down to scrub whenever, so I'm just like every day hoping, like checking the internet, everything, checking if somebody drops out, if my management doesn't hear or whatever it may be. But yeah. We'll see. Nothing booked yet, but hopefully soon.
But you're down to fight anywhere. You'll fight in the parking lot. You'll fight in the UFC as long as they're paying you.
That's right.
Now, we all need to know, and this is the question that's been on everyone's mind since UFC 270. Has your friend got the tattoo yet?
No, but we're like getting everything done up. So we have the drawing almost completed. Like we're just like doing the fine little touches and trying to lock down a weekend because she works during the week, so we have to do it on the weekend. And so we're just trying to figure out what weekend works best because they're sending like a camera crew and everything. So
way.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We're just trying to get out all the I's dotted and the T's crossed kind of thing.
So what picture is it? Like you, I assume it's you fighting or you celebrating after a victory, right? Or is it you just like a nice picture in your house, or like what kind of picture is she getting?
You'll have to wait and see.
Oh, amazing. We're also excited. This is the biggest story. So
it's nuts.
I think that was the funniest story. Are you close with this person, or was it someone you hadn't spoken to in like 20 years and you're like, hey,
no,
get the tattoo?
We're very good. We're like such good friends, and like I gave her the out before. I said, I'm like, listen, Kylie, like if you don't want to do this, like I get it. Like you said it as a joke, and she's like, man, like I'm a man of my word. Like let's do it. I'm just like, okay, of course. Like
just too we're all just too polite to say no in Canada, like we're all just like, I said I would do it. I don't really want to, but here we are. No one really wants me to either, but I already said it.
Exactly. It's so funny. All my friends all tease her about it and everything. It's awesome.
Every interview too, like I always do research. I make sure to check out other interviews. Like I think there was like 3 interviews in a row where they're like, update us on the tattoo. What's going on here?
Yeah, people are waiting. Like I feel like it's getting to the point where people are like, is this actually happening? There's no way it's actually happening. Like it's not happening. But yeah, it's before my next fight, it's gonna happen.
This is amazing to hear. We look forward to seeing it. Keep us in the loop as to what's going on. You're from St. Catharines, Ontario. Let me ask you, being from St. Catharines, Ontario, who's a bigger deal, Tim Horton or Alexisonfire?
Probably Tim Hortons because of the consistency. It's like, everyone drinks coffee. Not everyone listens to like that style of music. So yeah.
Well, yeah, consistency. Yeah, Tim Horton is always there.
Yeah.
Alexisonfire probably had a higher
Agreed.
Their peak was good, but the drop off hasn't been so good.
Yeah, and like think about all like the old people. We got tons of old people here, so it's or like the young kids with the new music now. So I think because of the consistency, Tim Hortons.
Because of the consistency, Tim Hortons. Now, where I was from, because I'm from British Columbia, Alexisonfire was a big deal there. How big of a deal was the peak of that band in St. Catharines?
It was huge, actually. Yeah, like everyone knew who they were. Like anyone that went to high school with any of them, like, I know I was in science class with like whatever it was. Everyone had their little like story of how they met one of them.
That's so cool. Oh man, having these small towns and their bands. I met people who had like who went to school with Nickelback, and we were all like,
Oh,
man, no one cares. No one cares about that.
that's hilarious. Yeah.
So I'm glad it's a good band. Alexisonfire was a cool band. They had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So aside, right now you're in 125. How did you ever make 115? That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it sucked, but it was every day. I was dieting every single day of camp, and I mean it wasn't fun, but you know I I got mixed feelings about it because it is my only loss was at 115. So like
Mhm.
I get when people like move up, but that being said, I mean I could see myself jumping back down to 115 again. It's not fun, but I can do it. I can suck my body down that low.
Oh, do you, when you're training and especially in the actual fight itself, do you feel physically different between the two weight
Yeah,
classes? Talk a
that
little bit about that.
so that's one thing that I did really notice, like in grappling at one point, like in the actual fight, it was like we were in this one position where I knew if I sat my weight back, then I wouldn't get swept.
Yeah.
And I was actually like sitting my weight back, like all of my weight, but it was just I didn't have as much weight as I'm normally
Oh.
used to having. So I ended up getting swept because of it. And I could tell kind of in the last like 2 weeks, my body was like different. It was like weird. It was like, less, it was definitely less strong. And it was
Mhm.
like, it felt different because I was so light.
Yeah, this is why it's such a surprise, like to hear you say maybe in the future I'll go back to down to 115, because it sounds like it's just torture. It's not better in the fight, but you're still like, no, whatever. I'll fight anyone, any weight class.
Well, I mean, for the right opportunity, I'm not just going down for nothing. It has to be the right opportunity, and so that's what the motivating factor is to suck myself down and go through that torture.
It's tough, but I mean that's the fight game. So, and it's your
Yeah.
dream to be in the UFC. When did you first get into MMA? What was the first time that you've seen it? Talk a little bit more about that.
So obviously, like when I was in high school, I would watch the UFC. We would always go to my friend Brand's house, and like he had a sick basement with like big TV and everything. So we would all like watch UFC back with like Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, all that like that time. And so that's when I kind of like got exposed to it. But I remember even like watching it and being like, oh, like that would be so cool. But it's like I didn't know that you could actually get into that or anything like that. It was just
Mhm.
like I was watching it as like entertainment. And then it wasn't until I was like 26, so like 10 years later or whatever it was, when however old you are in high school knows anymore, but um it's it was however many years later. I was 26, and
Yeah.
um he was just my boyfriend at the time. Now he's become my head coach, all that. But I in
He
this
got he got promoted to boyfriend to head coach. Is that the normal? Is that the normal relationship? Because I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, I mean it. That is how it happened, and we figured out how to make it work. But
Okay.
but yeah, at the time he was going down to help former UFC fighter Jason Sago get ready for a fight. And so he's like, want to come to PEI with me? I'm like, yeah, obviously, you know what I mean? Like going to PEI, get to eat lobster for a week, why not?
Yes.
So I go there, and I'm watching them train, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, this is neat. And then it was like one night there was sparring, and I'm just
Mhm.
like watching the spar. I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, I really like this. And so I'm like, yo, let me spar. And they're like, no, you're not You're not going from like doing nothing at all to sparring. Like, are you a psychopath? But then afterwards, Jason did some like moving around with me, and he's like, like you have a bit of natural ability. You start training, you can make a run at this. So that's kind of like how it kind of got started a little bit. But it wasn't until I went to, it was UFC Ottawa that he was fighting on.
Oh
And I
yeah.
saw the event, I saw the production, and I saw how cool it was. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I love this. And that's when I turned to Kylie and said, hey, I think I'm gonna make a run at this. And then so she says, yeah, you get into the UFC, I'll get your face tattooed on my ass. So literally, like, that's how it started.
That's a really good story too. It's weird that in Canada fighting was so big for so long. Like we all just accepted, like, yeah, fighting is a completely normal thing. Guys fight in cage, this is totally normal. Like we all went to our friend's house, watched in a basement, and definitely like pirated it or was watching on old like VHS tapes for a while too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, so who were some of the inspirations for you? Obviously, you were training with Jason. Was there some other fighters that you looked at as personal inspiration?
Yeah, another big one was Mitch Gagnon. So when I started training, he was still fighting at the time, and he was training out of Parabellum, but he lives up in I forget where it is, but so it's like up north kind of area. And so he would kind of live down here for camps. And so for a lot of his camp, he would stay at my place, and like Chris cornered him and everything. So I really like saw how he trained and what he did. And like, I was doing the same stuff. And so it was really cool to kind of like almost like model my career after his, like he's an animal. So it was, it made sense. So I really like looked up to him and looked up to Jay, and like we had a ton of fighters come up at like during that time. So it was really cool.
This is absolutely awesome. No, this is some amazing fighters to look up to. But did you ever feel like you faced obstacles being a female in combat sports? Like if you were to give advice to other women who are starting in the sport, what obstacles might they face? How do they overcome the obstacles? Or for you, were you completely accepted in the gym and it was never a big deal?
I was very fortunate because I was like accepted in the gym, like super, super easy. Like I had a group of guys, and like, I mean, I obviously knew I wasn't their best round or anything, but none of them kind of like treated me poorly or anything like that. I've always been very fortunate to have amazing training partners. But I can understand how it would be nerve-wracking. Like I grew up with guys, so I know how they joke. I know like the immature shit that they say. I don't get offended by anything. So it's easy for me to get along with like a group of meathead guys. I'm probably the king meathead, even worse than the guys. I say the worst shit. But so it was easier for me than I imagined for like girls that don't have maybe that crass personality that I do. But I think just start, like give it a try, like go to a class and check it out, because I guarantee you'll fall in love with martial arts. Like I really did. I feel like it's like gave me purpose in life, and I think that it teaches you so much. Like it gives you confidence. It gives you a better body if you need that. It's like there's so many encompassing things that come with it. So just try it out.
Just go for it. Try your best and try it out. What other sports did you play? Other sports before you were in martial arts and combat sports? Were you doing other things?
Yeah, it's like super active in sports. I didn't do anything like, it's not like I was like a sick like soccer player or anything like that. Like I played like beer league soccer, like you know what I mean? Like I always enjoyed being active. I played sports like all through high school and everything, like, got athlete of the year and like that kind of shit. But I was never like kind of like focused on like one thing. I was kind of like all over the place. Like I did a bunch of traveling, and I worked at a youth homeless shelter for a long time, and like a restaurant, and I did like volunteer firefighting. Like I was kind of like all over the place, like looking for something. And then I filmed martial arts and like dove in head first.
That's so cool. Wait, you mentioned traveling, and I've seen parts of your Instagram, but you keep it quite like, there's only a few things there. But where were you traveling to? What's the big story there? I'm a big travel guy myself.
I traveled all over. Like I did that whole backpacking through Europe
Oh.
in my 20s, and just like had a bag, went over with one of my friends. We went to like two countries together, and then he wanted to go to like one country, I wanted to go to another country, and so we're like, okay, well, we'll see ya. Like we'll meet up in we were flying out of Paris, like whatever it was, like a month and a half later, like see you then. And then so like he went off and I went off, and we would still like message each other, make sure we're both still alive. But yeah, like it was like such a great life experience for me to be like traveling Europe alone, this like young friggin', I was like 21 or 22 at the time, before I knew even martial arts or anything like that. So but yeah, it's like I've had a lot of like different experience. I've been very fortunate to be able to go to like a lot of different countries, but I'm looking forward to traveling more and see what this world has to offer.
Oh, absolutely. What was some of the best? Because I live in the UK now, so I like popped down to Europe kind of sequentially. So I always loved it. Like, what was your favorite food? What was the food that you most remember from your time traveling around different areas of Europe?
I love the food in Greece.
Yeah,
Like that's like my style of food. Also, like I was in Lithuania, so it was like home cooking for me. I love that whole Eastern European, like that's heavy foods. I like that kind of stuff. But I really love the food in Greece.
man, I always feel like I'm cheating on my family because they're Italian and they're kind of like proud to be Italian. And I'm like, no, I think Greek food is legitimately better, but I'm not going to say that to you guys.
Oh, not a chance. No, you can't say that to Italians. Holy.
I looked at some pictures. You're tagged in some, like I saw you drinking out of a river and some other things. You're quite an outdoorsy hiking, boating person. If I'm in Southern Ontario, what like hiking trails does a person have to do, or what mountains would you recommend to a person?
It's tough because I personally, I don't really like going to those, like, say it's like a conservation area or something like that. It's like, I don't really go to there because there's too many people there. I like going and like finding these like hidden gems. So like I can tell you these places, but then they're not hidden gems anymore,
Yeah, that's true.
But honestly, like you go anywhere and you can find like super nice like little waterfalls and stuff like that. Like I'm very fortunate to live in an area that it's like I'll ride my bike like a 5-minute bike ride, and there's like a walk out to like the water, like kind of like when you're out east, that kind of thing. So it's like that's called I forget the name of it, but it's like this little river in Thorold or this lake in Thorold that I go to, but it's like it's special to me, but it's like I don't know how much people will like it, especially coming from BC. BC is gorgeous.
No, I wouldn't do that I wouldn't say that to a person while on broadcast. If we were in the pub, I would be
Yeah, no, I lived in BC for like a year, and BC is the winner.
Where were you living in BC?
I lived first in Victoria, and then I was in Vancouver. I was only in Vancouver for like probably 4 months, but I lived on the island for like almost a year.
Victoria and Vancouver, if you can afford to live in Vancouver, but Victoria especially, that's the nicest place on earth.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved living there. I was like right by the water, and I would just like go for walks down there every day. It was amazing.
That's the life. That's what I would love to retire in Victoria or Vancouver, but
yeah,
we work in MMA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I used to always go feed the seals, or I think they were sealed. But they stopped doing that. You could buy like $2 for a bag of fish chunks and feed them, but now they stopped that.
Oh, well, you were there at the best time. They moved on. That's fine. You got the best parts of it.
Yeah.
So we always ask this to all of our guests. This is a signature question, but if you had a signature brand, a lot of fighters do have their own brands, such as signature whiskeys, hot sauces, tequila, stuff like that. If there was a Jasmine signature brand, what would that brand be?
Ooh. I don't know. That's a good question though. I love food and cooking and everything like that. So I don't know. Maybe a soda water. I drink a ton of soda water. Not the
Really?
flavored stuff though, just like the straight soda water. Yeah.
Wait,
That's like my dream sponsorship is the soda water sponsorship.
we gotta hook you up. That is
Come
awesome
on.
stuff. That
Yeah.
So I thought, how would that affect you athletically? Is it completely fine? Is it 1-to-1 with water, or does it affect your body in some way?
No, it's carbonated water. It's the same. Like it's like I think there's a little bit of salt in it, but other than that, nothing. Like I drink it all the time because it's like drinking water, but it's a little bit more fun.
That's absolutely awesome. And right now, YouTube celebrity boxing is kind of the hot ticket. If there was some influencer or YouTube star or someone like this that you would call out for a boxing match on YouTube, is there someone that you would want to call out?
Whoever's gonna pay the most, whatever. But
You and I
no,
are almost too old. Like, we don't know any influencers anymore.
that's it. That's it. I'm like, I don't even know what friggin' TikTok is. Everyone's telling me, oh, you got to get on this TikTok. And I'm like, I don't even know what friggin' Twitter is. I'm so bad at Instagram. People are always hating on me, like, oh, why aren't you following me? We're at the same gym. Dude, I don't know who I'm following, who I'm not. I'm an old person with technology.
I fully understand. I'm on board with you. And then last question for you, Jasmine, and then we'll head out of here. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, where do you picture yourself?
I picture myself with a big gold belt around my waist. I mean, once I get that belt, I'm not going to take it off. So, But yeah, I mean, obviously that's the dream, but I feel like I'm gonna reach my potential regardless of what it may be, and I'm hoping it's UFC gold.
I absolutely love to hear it. My name is Tim Wheaton with Calf Kick Sports, and Jasmine, you're gonna get the last word here. Shout out whoever you need to shout out. Let the people know where they can find more of you, and when can we expect to see you next?
So you can find me on Jasmine Jasudavicius for my Instagram that I hardly use, and it's the same. I think it's Jazz Jasudavicius on my Twitter. But thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for your time.